YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy Sports Culture, and I'm back with another video here today. And in this video, it's going to be a 7-round mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings, and this is a team that has made some really solid moves throughout free agency so far. I will go over all their moves and what they have done this free agency in a little bit, but this is a team that whether they decide to stay with J.J. McCarthy or sign an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or just a veteran quarterback, I think they're in a very good spot. And this is also a team that only has 4 picks in this year's draft class, so don't expect me in this mock draft to stay at pick 24. I am going to trade back. I am going to get a haul of picks just to get some more talent and depth all around in this year's draft class for this Minnesota team. That is very talented and stacked, especially on that defensive front. But I feel like in this mock draft, I want to target the cornerback position, get another guy on that boundary, get a safety. Harrison Smith is getting older. They lost Cameron Byram to free agency, so they could add another guy in there. Maybe potentially another defensive tackle, or just another big guy in the middle, and another offensive lineman. So without further ado, man, let's get right into this mock draft. So real quick, before I get into the mock draft simulator, I want to go over some of their free agency signings or some of the big ones. They got Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Those are 2 big ones, man. As a Packers fan, those 2 guys make me very scared of this defensive front. I was already scared of it, but this probably makes them from one of the best defenses to potentially the best defense next year. We'll see when the NFL season rolls upon us. Will Fries, really good signing, man. One of the top guards in free agency. Byron Murphy Jr., who they did re-sign. I didn't expect him to leave Minnesota. He was a valuable piece for this defense last year. Really good at turning the ball over in this Brian Flores defensive scheme. Re-signed Aaron Jones, but as I am recording this, they did trade for Jordan Mason. I expect both these guys to split carries a lot. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if Jordan Mason does come out as the top running back. And I'm a longtime Packers fan, or I'm a Packers fan, and I love Aaron Jones. I'm just saying that because Jordan Mason is a legit stud, man, and he's very young. Aaron Jones is questionable with his health here and there. I'd expect them to probably preserve Aaron Rodgers. I mean, not Aaron Rodgers. Oh, my goodness. Aaron Jones, and maybe let Jordan Mason take the workload majority of the games. Ryan Kelly, they signed as well. Very good signing. Isaiah Rodgers, very good depth cornerback. Potentially a starter, who knows, but in this mock draft, I do want to get a starter. They signed Theo Jackson. Like I said, they lost Cam Byram. So in this mock draft, I do want to get a safety as well. And those are just some of the bigger free agency ones that they made. Those are the ones I want to go over. Now let's get into the mock draft. So like I said, don't expect me to stay at pick 24. This team definitely needs more picks, and that's what I did. We are trading pick 24. In return, we're getting pick 36, 70, and 107. I was actually going to finesse and get pick 88 as well. But I just felt like that was probably unrealistic, and I didn't really want to throw any more picks or another pick in there. I mean, we need picks, so it wouldn't make sense for me to throw 2 picks into there. So I did this trade. It is what it is. It's a little bit more realistic, but definitely could have finessed the Jaguars a little bit more. So here we are, pick 36, and I was really thinking about trading back even more, but I am going to make a selection right here for the Minnesota Vikings. And we're going to go with Tyleik Williams, the defensive lineman from Ohio State. Harrison Phillips is definitely a solid nose tackle in this 3-4 defensive scheme for Minnesota. But Tyleik Williams could be even better, in my personal opinion. One of the better run defenders at the defensive tackle position in this year's draft class. Has the frame and just the pure strength and the athleticism to play the nose tackle in the 3-4 defensive scheme. 6'3", 330 pounds, basically 22 years old. This year in 2024, had 3 sacks, 1 quarterback hit, 16 hurries, and 1 batted pass. The previous year, 2 sacks, 3 hits, 17 hurries, and 4 bad passes. But he's not going to be a guy that gets an insane amount of sacks. He's going to be a guy that just holds down the middle, plays gaps, could just take up space, take up blocks, and plays the run very, very well. To me, he just feels like a Minnesota Vikings pick, especially for the middle. I feel like his athleticism is pretty solid for a bigger dude in this year's draft class at his position. Harrison Phillips is definitely really solid. To me, I was going to trade back and then go cornerback with my first pick and then go D-line for this team, but I really just can't pass on Tyleik Williams for this interior, for this Minnesota Vikings defensive line. And, man, if they get Tyleik Williams, they have the guys that they have right now in Jonathan Gennard, Andrew Van Ginkel, Javon Hargrave, who they signed, Jonathan Allen, almost blanked out right there. All those guys, and that's their defensive line, their front five with Harrison Phillips, Tyleik Williams switching in and out. I mean, that is a nasty defensive line, stopping the run and getting to the quarterback wise. So with this pick, we are going Tyleik Williams. Just feels like a perfect fit for the Minnesota Vikings right here at pick 36. So here we are, pick 70, and I was going to make a trade back, but literally no one wants to trade with us, and I'm not going to make that trade with the Giants. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go Benjamin Morrison. And I don't think he's a Vikings player because of his play style and because of his size. I don't think he's really a mold or what Brian Flores is looking for in terms of like the cornerback position in his defensive scheme, but he's worth the pick, man, in my opinion. Especially if he falls right here to pick 70. I know he's smaller, people like to say, for the cornerback position, and has a red flag over him because of the injury this year. People are concerned that at the next level he could be injury prone, but I think he's worth the shot, man. I think he has an immense talent at the cornerback position. Has been a guy that has had first round projection on him since he started at Notre Dame. This year, obviously having the injuries, definitely tanked his draft stock all the way to the 3rd round. So I think he's worth the shot. Like I said, I think he's super talented, has some of the better ball skills in this year's draft class. 6 foot 190, 21 years old. Maybe not the size or what they're looking for in terms of play style in Minnesota, especially for this defensive scheme, but the talent's there. This team needs another defensive back, and I think he's worth the shot, especially because we're at pick 70 right here. No team wants to trade with me. What else am I going to do? So with this pick, we are going Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback for Notre Dame, who I still think is very much worth a pick in this year's draft class, inside the top 60, top 50. So with this pick, we are going Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback from Notre Dame. So here we are, pick 97, and I was going to actually trade up and select Tate Ratledge so we get a guard from the interior and just completely max out this offensive line and just have a really stout offensive line for this Vikings team. But he did get drafted at 91 to the Ravens. So with this pick, I am going to go with Lathan Ransom, the safety from Ohio State. And it was a tough decision. There were some other guys I was really looking at, but I really do feel like Lathan Ransom would be a really good fit for this Minnesota team. 6'1", 210, 22 years old, but is a guy that can line up really anywhere. Gives you versatility in the box, gives you versatility back deep. Solid, I'd say, coverage defender. I think he definitely needs to get better in his coverage skills, but as a run defender, as a thumper, as a dude that could come downhill and lay a hit on you, one of the better ones in this year's draft class. Played in 15 games this year, had 63 tackles, 15 assisted tackles, and 14 missed. Had a 66.5 coverage grade, had a 93.5 run defense grade, which was the highest from PFF in terms of like safeties in this year's draft class. Had a 15.2 missed tackle rate, had a 10.0 force and completion rate, and had a 4.1 average depth of run tackle, which is super elite for a safety, man. I really do like this pairing with Harrison Smith, who is getting older, but Harrison Smith also is an elite safety still and can line up really anywhere still in the box back deep. And you just get a guy like Lathan Ransom who has the same height, same frame, same thumping ability. I just think that's a really good pairing. And he could get better as a coverage safety, and I think you pair him with Harrison Smith. I think he's only going to get better. Does get drafted a fair amount by Minnesota fans when they make mock drafts as well. So with this pick, we are going Lathan Ransom to give the Minnesota Vikings a future safety or a long-term safety once Harrison Smith leaves, probably next year. So here we are, pick 139, and with this pick, we're going to go with Luke Kandra, the guard from Cincinnati, who I think could definitely go in there and compete with Blake Brandel for the starting guard position. Almost stuttered there. Allowed 0 sacks this year, 1 quarterback hit, and 7 hurries. The previous year, 4 sacks, 1 hit, and 12 hurries. And then the year before that, 0 sacks, 0 hits, and 5 hurries. Plays right guard. And I expect him to go in there if the Vikings do draft a guy like Luke Kandra in real life later on in the rounds, to go in there and compete with a guy like Blake Brandel for the starting position. I wouldn't say he'd be an official day one starter, but he could definitely go in there and potentially take that starting job from him. Has great height, around 6'4", 320. 323 to be exact. Does get drafted a fair amount by Vikings fans when they make mock drafts. Just feel like this is a guard or a hole that is on their offensive line that they need to kind of fix. I feel like Blake Brandel is their weakest link on that offensive line, at least right now. It's a very stacked offensive line on paper, but Blake Brandel is definitely the weakest link. And if we could get a guy like Luke Kandra, could go in there and definitely be the starter over him. Definitely an upgrade. So with this pick, we're going with Luke Kandra, the guard from Cincinnati. So we are making a small trade back with the Dallas Cowboys, giving them 187 in return, getting 204 and 211 just to get another draft pick for this team and hopefully get more depth all around for this roster. All right, we made one final trade back. This is going to be the last one. We're giving them 204 in return, getting 214 and 255 just to get another draft pick. I really like some of these guys later on just for depth pieces for any team, and we're going to get them for this Minnesota Vikings team in this mock draft. So at 211 right here, we're going to get Tyler Shaw, the quarterback from Louisville. As I'm recording this video, J.J. McCarthy is the only quarterback on roster, so you just need to add somebody. And Tyler Shaw is a very intriguing quarterback in this year's draft class, I'd say to say the least. 25 years old, he is an older dude, 6'5", 225, but I mean, man, he is definitely an intriguing prospect. Was killing it throughout the combine week, and has just been going up a lot of draft boards. A lot of people are saying they have Tyler Shaw in the top 5, top 6 for top 5 quarterbacks, or top quarterbacks in this year's draft class, so You know, getting a guy like this later on just for more depth is really good value. So we're just going to add Tyler Shaw just to be the backup quarterback for J.J. McCarthy. Like I said, right now as I'm recording this, no other roster or no other quarterback on roster besides J.J. McCarthy. So it just makes sense to get a guy just to be depth. So here we are, pick 214, and with this pick, I'm just going to get another safety, more depth for this safety room for Minnesota. Like I said, they lost Cam Byram. Harrison Smith is only getting older, unfortunately. He's going to be retiring pretty soon. So you could definitely add some more guys into that room. And R.J. Mickens is a guy who I really do like a lot in the later rounds. 6 foot, 210, can line up in the box, can line up back deep, but has some really good coverage skills. This year had 55 tackles, 18 assisted tackles, and 11 missed. Had a 89.8 coverage grade, had a 69.2 run defense grade, had a 13.1 missed tackle rate, and had a very high 24.1 coverage forced incompletion rate. So those are stats you like to see in terms of coverage. This year allowed 21 receptions on 29 targets for a passer rating of 59.6 and allowed 1 touchdown and got 2 interceptions. Just like his versatility, same thing as length and ransom. You can line him up in the box, you can line him up back deep. Same thing as Harrison Smith. You can line him in the box, you can line him back deep. Just feel like with R.J. Mickens, length and ransom, Harrison Smith, Theo Jackson, who they did sign, you know, those are 4 guys you could get some versatility out of and line them up all over the place. So with this pick, we are going R.J. Mickens just for more depth at that safety position. So here we are with the final pick for the Minnesota Vikings for this mock draft, and I'm going to go with Elijah Badger, the wide receiver from Florida, just to add more depth to this wide receiver room. Obviously, their first 3 wide receivers don't need to be touched. I think they're all pretty solid. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, don't need to say too much about those guys. But Elijah Badger is a guy I really do like in the later rounds. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy is a starter or a steal for an NFL team. This guy is really good on film. I'm surprised he's not being talked about just a little bit more. 6'1", 192. I think his film is way better than a 6th to 7th rounder in this year's draft class. Had 29 receptions on 61 targets for 806 yards, 20.9 yards/receptions, and 4 targets. Had a 0.0 drop rate this year. Had a 80.1 receiving grade. Had a 2.96 yards per route run, which is super elite. And had a contested catch rate of a 68.8 and a grade versus man coverage of an 88.5. I'm telling you right now, if you don't know who Elijah Badger is, someone in my comments actually told me to watch this guy. I've been watching his film since, and I really do like what I see, man. Really does feel like a sleeper or a steal later on in this year's draft class. So with this pick, we are going with Elijah Badger, the wide receiver from Florida, just to give this MinnesotaVikings team some more depth at that wide receiver position. So here's what PFF has graded my mock draft for the Vikings. With the first pick, we did go Tyleik Williams. Just feels like a great fit for the Minnesota Vikings. Could be that nose tackle in a 3-4 defensive scheme. Got an A- right there for that. Next pick, we did go Benjamin Morrison. A little bit of a gamble. Really doesn't fit this defensive scheme and what they're looking for at the cornerback position. But I think he's still worth drafting inside the top 50, top 60. To get him at pick 70 to me is a steal. Next pick, we did go Lathan Ransom. I think he's very good for this defensive scheme. Gives you versatility in the box. And now deep. Very good tackler and very good run defender at the safety position. No, Williams was the secondary pick. We went at the cornerback position, or the second pick we went for the cornerback position. It just feels like a better defensive scheme fit than Benjamin Morrison. Just feels like a defensive scheme fit for this Brian Flores defensive scheme. Luke Canandra was our next pick. Just maybe a guy that could go in there and compete with Blake Brandell for the starting guard position. Tyler Shaw just for depth at the quarterback position. R.J. Mickens more depth at the safety position. Maybe even the future starter alongside Lathan Ransom once Harrison Smith is gone. Who knows? And then finally, to round it off, we went Elijah Badger, who I think could be a steal in this year's draft class, just to get this Minnesota Vikings team some more wide receiver depth. Overall, when the top 45% of draft grade was at A-. So let me know what you guys think about this draft in the comments. What you guys would do different, what picks you guys would have changed. It's been your boy Sports Culture. I'm out.